Hey everyone, welcome back. So in a previous video, I showed how to connect a 12 volt to 19 volt power supply to a monitor, and I showed it running off of that power pole block right there. And then I think I promised a tour of the 12 volt auxiliary system I added to my truck. It is run off of lithium iron phosphate batteries, not lead acid. So eventually you'll see me point out the DC to DC charger that also acts as the battery isolator. But let's walk up to the front of the truck and start with the engine compartment and work our way back. All right, we're at the front of the truck in the engine compartment. This is an MRBF, marine rated battery fuse and fuse holder. Marine rated because in the engine compartment of a boat, you're not getting a lot of airflow, so you can build up an explosive atmosphere. And if the fuse blows and it's not, that spark is not protected from the atmosphere, your boat can explode. It's not why I'm using it here. I'm using it here because it's got a little tab that I can connect directly onto a battery post instead of like a regular fuse holder that's got two posts, and then I would have to make a bus bar or make a short piece of cable. This has got the bar with the hole in it that I can just tie directly into the terminal. This is an 80 amp fuse. Right there, you see an 80 amp fuse. Mostly because this 6 American wire gauge cable, now this is aviation grade mil spec wire, had it laying around, expensive, but because I had it laying around, I decided to use it. You don't want to use this stuff like on a car unless you really have to, because it's really expensive. But I got this thing routed and it goes through the firewall. Let me get out a light. All right. That right there is a cable gland. So it goes through the firewall right there. And then that kind of goes into the passenger compartment. Okay, I had to stop the camera for a second so I could contort myself to get under the glove box on the passenger side. So this is where the 6 gauge wire comes from the starter battery through the firewall, and it gets routed up behind this little kick panel. Behind here there's some fuses and a computer. What you're seeing right here, we'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to take you to the back of the back of the cab first, then we're going to come back up here and talk about this. That 6 gauge wire, like I said, comes down through here, and it runs through this what do you call it, a wire chase or whatever. This just pops right up, and there's some OEM harnesses that run through here that go to the back of the truck. Let me grab my light, we might need it. And it continues running through this chase along the back seat, and it comes up behind this panel near the post. What is that, the C post? And I give it a little loop to give it some strain relief up to this bus bar, and it comes off the bus bar and goes over to the Red Arc 12 volt DC to DC charger. This is what keeps the 2 battery systems isolated, because the lead acid is about a volt lower nominally than the lithium iron phosphate battery that powers the auxiliary system back here. So 12 volt starter system, truck system, comes over to the red arc, DC to DC battery charger, and this thing feeds this bus bar. So this is the main bus bar for the auxiliary system. And then this feeds a couple things. It comes out, this red one coming off goes through the back of the cab to the back of the bed of the truck. And then this wire feeds a 6-circuit fuse block, and that orange cable, 8 gauge cable, is what you saw up front a second ago. Hey everyone, future me here. So sorry for making the mistake of saying it was 8 gauge wire instead of 10. I've got wire from different manufacturers, and the insulation thickness can vary quite a bit between them. And the reason I know it's 10 gauge, not 8, is because you can't crimp a 15, 30, or 45 amp power pole terminal onto an 8 gauge wire. So it's 10. But that's not really why I'm here. I suddenly realized that I did not have good information for you guys about how to size wire, especially when you're running it to a distribution block, and then you got branch circuits and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is down in the description, you'll see a link for a video about how to size wire using ampacity charts. All right. And I've got some other things coming off of this, like this feeds a power pole distribution block right under this seat. And what else does it power? Yeah, I've got a little extension cord for an amateur radio. It's got double fuses on it. Radios like having double fuses for reasons I won't get into. And then back over on the truck side of the DC to DC charger, this right here is an extension cable that lets me run back up to the front of the truck to plug in a solar battery maintainer. Yeah, the front of the truck's where the sunlight's at. So in the future, I might eliminate this and figure out how to rig it up up under by the passenger's foot. But I'll have to snip this wire to insert this. All right, so let's go back up to the front of the truck, and then maybe come back to the back to look at some more things. So that 8 gauge orange cable is what comes up right here, and it feeds this Anderson power pole distribution block. There's 4 slots. One is being used to power the block. One load is going through an inline fuse up to where this CV is sitting, up to a power pole bulkhead connector, so I can power the radio. The other load coming off the power pole distribution block is actually coming back this way again. Comes here to about here, runs up here under the seat. There's the wire, and that wire runs to this USB-C charger. So I feed it 12 volts, and it will give me 100 watt USB-C power delivery at either one of these slots. So I'm getting a lot more power out of this than I can out of my truck's USB-C charger, not USB-C, USB-A chargers, which I don't know. This truck's a 2016 truck. Maybe they're giving me 1 amp. Yeah, so this is giving me 100 watt power delivery, so I can actually run my laptop off of it if I need to in my truck. So let's go back to the back. All right, so we're back at the back of the truck, and so here's the fuse block for the auxiliary system coming off of the big bus bar for the auxiliary system. And I mentioned earlier that one of these loads is actually going to a power pole distribution block under the seat. So let's look at that now. I forget, they call these the rig runners. I think they're from West Mountain Radio. This is what I had at the time, but I really, I don't like this for just plugging random stuff in, because you have to be able to read these fuses and make sure you're plugging your load in to a slot that has an appropriate fuse size. So this is eventually going to get replaced by just a one of those power pole distribution blocks I buy off of Amazon. You'll see it later in this video too, in the back of the truck, in the bed area. And then this powers, what does it power? Yeah, so I've got, this is just a kind of an extension cord that runs over there for a radio that I would have like in a Pelican case. This is running over to my 12 volt fridge that's right there behind the driver's seat on the floor, and that just stays plugged in all the time. Let's see what else. Let's go to the other side over here. Sorry, I got a runny nose, or it's not even spring yet. My allergies are starting. So again, this is the Red Arc DC to DC battery charger. It also has a 12 volt solar charge controller. So it's an MPPT solar charge controller, and this yellow wire is feeding it solar power. So this is my solar power distribution block, and I've got two cables coming off that normally I've got my tonneau cover on this, and these solar panels would just be laying on top of the tonneau cover, but I was cleaning this out earlier, so I needed to take the tonneau cover off. But I can run, these are what, like 140 watt panels, so I can run 2 of them and charge the lithium iron phosphate battery up when the truck's just sitting. So yeah, a couple of these cables coming off from the main bus bar for the auxiliary system. One is running over here to the lithium iron phosphate battery. There's another one that runs over here to this F150 connector, and I can run something like a 1200 watt inverter off of this, and this is a crappy battery. It's the headway cells. All these cells add up to like 22 amp hours. It's really pathetic, but there's like 3 parallel, and each each cell in parallel is 200 amps. So if I didn't have the BMS in there, this battery could crank out 600 amps, no problem. Now this battery is getting kind of old. It's been through several winters, and I don't have a cold weather monitor on this, so it's probably gotten hit several times when it's been frozen, because I've noticed the capacity on this is way down. So this is getting replaced soon with something, I don't know what. And I think that's everything back here. You know, here's the 12-volt refrig, small cooler that I keep back here so I can have cold drinks all the time, basically. Probably in another video sometime I'll talk more about this and what it's getting replaced with. The only other thing to point out back here is I created a ground block with 2 of these bus bars. Kind of important with electronics that everything's tied to a common ground. Not a ground over there, not a ground over there, but a common ground. And then this whole thing's tied over to this body ground over here, which seems to be good enough. Radios are happy. Hey guys, so I forgot to talk about 1 or 2 other things back here at the back of the cab. So it turns out, like in the late model F150s, there's actually quite a bit of room back here behind the seat. There's a panel, like a felt panel, that helps with sound deadening from road noise. And if you take that out, there's quite a bit of room back here. So I can fit that battery back here, no problem. I mean, there's a good like 7 or 8 inches on the floor. It's not as it's very tight up near where the top of the seat back comes up, but there's quite a bit of space back here. So like that fold-up solar panel will fit back here too, after I kind of move some of this around a little bit. One future improvement, not for this truck, maybe a future truck, because, well, I'm not messing with this now. I'm not gonna improve it, but these are all mounted with well nuts that go through the back of the cab. And rather than putting all those holes in the back of the cab, I mean, they're sealed because the well nut is rubber, a neoprene rubber, and it's sealing the hole on the back side, the outside face of this aluminum. It's just, you know, with this room back here, with all this room back here, I think the next time I do this, I'm gonna get an aluminum sheet and kind of bend it up to be like a mounting surface for all this stuff. And then I'm really just putting 4 holes somewhere instead of a bunch of holes. And then like I can, you know, unmount it and pull it out and work on it if I need to. This is kind of a little bit harder to do all that, and it puts more holes in the truck. So yeah, I think that's really it this time. So let's go back over to the other side really quick, and then that'll lead us to the bed of the truck. All right, like I said before, the main bus bar for the auxiliary system is feeding power through some cable glands through the back of the cab, through the front of the bed of the truck. right there. I had a cut out part of the front of the bed. The 2015 F150s and newer are aluminum, so this is pretty easy to cut. I drilled some holes for the corners and then took a Dremel tool and cut the rest. So cable glands again, and it's running through a harness with some of that split loom. Let me come to the back. So yeah, let me hop in the back. All right, yeah, so it's coming through the cable glands into a harness I made that's keeping all the coax and battery cables together through. It's in a loom that runs under here. I'm trying to avoid, I think I'd run out of, that hole was where I was holding it, but I was trying to keep it from, I decided to move it back down below this. This is a PVC where I keep my radio antennas. Because I needed to do some things up here, just so get all that stuff out of the way. And then, yeah, the battery cables, again, run to some terminal blocks on this steel moly panel. I think it's made by Built Right Industries. And then I've got, I think that's a fuse, inline fuse right there. That then runs up to this power pole distribution block. This is what I probably want to put in replace of that rig runner under the rear passenger seat, because I don't have to worry about fusing on the individual circuits. And right now what I've got, so this is just providing power to the block, and then I've got a light, a green light back here that I can plug in to illuminate the bed at night with the tonneau cover on. But I've had that 12-volt refrig back here, and then these battery cables with the SB50 connector come off the terminal blocks, and then I can plug in another battery back here, or an inverter. And I've been meaning to add a second one of these so I can have a battery and an inverter back here, but haven't gotten around to that yet. These things are very easy and quick to make, at least for me. I've got the right tools to do that. I think I've either had a video or I have an upcoming video that shows how to do all the crimping for those. So yeah, I think that's about it for the 12-volt auxiliary system. I will do another video to talk about the coax, the patch panels, the radios setup, the antennas on the truck. So that's probably not going to happen right away.